I didn't really get that into 3D Touch on my iPhone 7 Plus review because that wasn't unique to the 7. That had been around for a year, but since I didn't own the 6S, 3D Touch was new to me. So I figured I should cover it in this video because I know a lot of people that like it, a lot of people who don't like it, and I'm split on it. So that's a big question, right? Do I use it all the time? Yes, actually. The main thing I like to use it for is to peek at things. What I like is being able to really quickly get information out of an app without having to open it. Like for instance, the activity app. I can just force press it a little bit and it will give me all my activity ring data for that day. And then I just tap away from it and it's gone. Didn't have to load a whole nother app. That's pretty nice. That saves some time. When I'm in messages, I like to force press on a conversation to see if I responded to someone who asked me anything and see what else we talked about earlier, but without having to completely open it, because once I let it go, it goes back to where it was. Or if you're an app like Instagram and you're browsing photos, you can force touch each photo to bring it up to your attention and then let it go and it drops away. I think that's just really quick and intuitive. Like I said, I just call it peeking. I'm getting quick information, but I don't want to fully commit to opening the app. We're at new levels of laziness, aren't we? We don't want to do this. We just want to do this. Moving the thumb twice is way too hard, but it does save time. It's very nice. But the other thing it's commonly advertised for is quickly switching to a certain section of an app. So for instance, on the YouTube app, you can force press that and open directly to your subscriptions feed. I don't like their whole homepage thing. I don't want them suggesting videos for me to watch. I just want to see content from the creators that I like. So I always go YouTube, force press it and go straight to subscriptions. Or if you force press the messages app, you can go straight to a certain conversation from like a list of 3 recents you've talked to. But both of these quick section opening features I use less for a certain reason. Since the iPhone now has 3 gigabytes of RAM, there's lots of apps being run in the background. And oftentimes, if I just tap that app, it will go directly to where I left off. And if I'm texting that person a lot, I don't really have to force touch and open to that recents list, because if I just tap the app, I'll open to that recent person already. Same with YouTube. It will open where you left off. And in that case, force pressing and go to subscriptions is not a very common scenario. But the very, very handy feature that I do love about 3D Touch is live photos, which many people can just call them GIFs, and that's kind of what they are, kind of. But I do like them now that I've made that switch over. And it's one of the only things I think Apple has named appropriately. Live photos is exactly what they are. They're photos that come to life. They take a bunch of pictures before and after you take your actual picture. You can still see your regular picture just fine. You don't have to put up with the live photo stuff. But when you press harder on it, it activates the live photos, and you get to see about a second of what has happened before and after you took that photo. And it just kind of makes family memories come to life a little bit more, or if you want to get a more legit reaction out of someone's selfie. And it even records a little bit of audio, so you can hear what was going on in that scenario. I never had these before, but now that I do think it's kind of awesome. It's always like, oh, that's their regular picture, but what was going on at that time? They don't take up much more space than regular photos, and whenever someone else who can shoot in live photos send me a picture, I always like to force press it and see what else they got in that moment. And look, I understand it's not functional. I know no one was really asking for that, but it goes along with the Apple idea of tech, which is things should not be just easy to use. They should also be playful, just to give the user an idea that they have a lot of control over the device. You can actually view live photos on your Mac. I figured it out later. And to me, that's just one of those nice, unique features that spices up the Apple ecosystem. Now I feel very differently about a device that doesn't recognize pressure sensitivity, because it's a neat way to discover things, right? You can just look at something and wonder what else can it do, so you force press it, opens up a whole new layer of menus. And that's how I just describe it: playful. You can make live photos your lock screen, and when you force press them, they come to life. And it's just something you can show off to your friends if you have them. And that's very much made possible with 3D Touch. There's lots of potential with live photos, but one of the things that sucks is they don't work when you're taking those portrait mode shots. Not the up and down kind, but the kind that look really cinematic and cool. Those aren't live photos, but it's probably just because the camera is working very hard to produce that crisp image that it doesn't have time to take a bunch of photos before and after that. So anyway, these are the things that Force Touch 3D Touch makes possible. The issue I have with it is that I only use it on a handful of apps. I don't use it constantly. The examples I gave you with messages, YouTube, and Instagram, all those kinds of things are the only time I really use it. I don't use it anywhere else. And yet they make it an option on every single app. Sometimes when it definitely does not need to be there. Like the Apple Watch app, you can tap that, force press it, and you get an option to go straight to the pairing process for your watch. Does that save a lot of time? And is that something we need to go to regularly? Even if you bought the Series 2 and the Series 1 Apple Watch, you've only done that twice in the span of like 2 years. Now, to be fair, I did actually use that force press pair new watch option when I paired my new watches to my phone, but I just think it's odd that that's an option you can access quickly at all times, and that's not really something you need to access very quickly. Third-party apps like Facebook also use Force Touch a lot in a bizarre way. Like Facebook has a lot of bizarre options. As in, do you need to go live on Facebook this instant? You can't even take the time time to open the Facebook app and hit live. You just need to get live, capture this moment in history, and if someone misses it, we're all gonna die. No, that's not a common thing to go through. So the bottom line is 3D Touch is very helpful in a couple apps, but not everything, and yet that's what it's designed to be influencing. I'm glad they added it. I don't think they should remove it. In fact, I do think it would be really nice to have 3D Touch on iPads if they figure out how, but I think it plays more with the feel of the device than it does save time. But it's a good feeling. It feels like the phone understands what you're trying to do more. I don't know how to describe it, but when a phone can understand pressure sensitivity, it just feels more solid because you're supposed to be pressing harder on it. Makes it feel more built, and I'd love to see that go to iPads. Doesn't save a whole lot of time, but sometimes it can be very useful. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.